So you guys, let's talk first and foremost about time management. It's not sexy. Like, it's not fun, right? I mean, like, the number one reason that we want to do this business is because we want to do it when we want to do it, right? I mean, people go to a job, so they're like, oh, you have to be here at this time and you get off at this time. And you get to go to the bathroom for this 15-minute break at this time, right? I mean, like, people don't want to do that. And so they're like, oh my gosh, I get to work for myself. But what's hard is, as an entrepreneur, you have to be really self-motivated, because there is no boss. There's no one that says, hey, you have to do these things today, or checking in at the end of the day, like, hey, if you didn't do these things, you're going to get fired. And then, so what happens often, if you guys can relate to this, put a 1 in the chat, then you feel like you're always working your business. Like, there's no break. And you're like, man, I thought I was going to do this in like the pockets of my time or a side hustle. And then you're like, this notification goes off and this group is going off and I'm overwhelmed in this group. And oh my gosh, like, everybody's responding to the post and everybody messaged me or they're responding back to me. And how am I supposed to do this? And we want to help you with that. And if you guys have never seen Erica Rothenberger's like quadrant, the 4 squares for the power hour, I have an income producing activities log. You can literally Google Isogenics IPA. It'll pull it up. I made it for the company when I trained for them. There's a lot of different ways to do it. And I want to give you a couple ideas. It doesn't mean what's going to work for me is going to work for you. What works for Laura might be different than works for Lisa. You know, what works for Anna might be different than works for Cynthia. But I'm going to give you a couple ideas. But before I even walk you through that, like, give yourself permission that it's going to be messy. Right? Like, you're an entrepreneur. It's going to be messy. There's going to be some days you're in flow, some days you're kind of all over the place, and that's okay. Right? In the very beginning, especially when you're like in momentum, there's no such thing as balance. Jess and I talk about that all the time. Janny did an amazing call today for my new rock star, and we were talking about that. Like, there's just no balance. Like, it's just always going to kind of be, but you have to find the beauty in that, in the joy in that. And when I look down, like, hypothetically on Saturday afternoon, this is not hypothetically, I went out to lunch with my stepmom for her birthday, and I went and took her to the model home where Ryan and I are building, right? We were running some errands, and I came home and I looked at my phone. If I told you guys the amount of notifications on text and in Messenger, because I had chosen to not look at my phone for like the 3.5 or 4 hours, you guys would have diarrhea right now, right? I was like, wow, that's a lot of messages I have to respond to. But where most people like freak out by that, my mindset is so strong. I immediately went, I'm so excited to read all of those messages. I'm so thankful and grateful that many people want to know about our collagen. I'm so excited that many people have me in an ATM to learn about this business, and I don't feel overwhelmed. But if I look at it and go, oh my gosh, Laura has me in 175 messages right now. Like, I just want to drink Prosecco and not respond to 175 message. It doesn't feel like fun. But if I go, well, I'm going to finish this Prosecco and I'm going to respond to those messages. I probably sound like more fun right now because I have this glass of Prosecco, and tell them all what we get to do, right? Then you manage through it. So I'm a big, big, big fan personally of like a to-do list. That's why I made the income producing activity list. There's certain things that I just have to get done, but it doesn't always go as planned. But whether it happens first thing in the morning or the middle of the day or before bed or all throughout the day, I have non-negotiables. For instance, I reach out to a certain number of people per day. I'm not going to tell you my number because I push myself harder than I would ever push anybody else, but a minimum of 3 is what I would tell you guys. Okay. So if I want to get up at 5:30 in the morning and knock it all out in an hour, right? And by 7 a.m. I'm done for the day. Cool. If I want to go to brunch and go work out and go to yoga and go get a blowout and putz around on social media and read and get a spray tan, and then at 8 o'clock at night, sit down and do it. This is what works for me. So my to-do list. So I have a set number of non-negotiables to reach out. I would encourage you guys to do 3. I have a set number of follow-ups. I would encourage you guys to do 3. Without question, I'm on social media, right? Like Jess always says, you have to have the lights on in your store. I mean, I'm letting people know who I am, and it's not always about Isogenics. I want them to build a relationship with me so that when they meet me in person, they go, oh my gosh, I already know you because I am exactly who I am online as I am offline, okay? And I always do personal development, and I always check in on my current team. So sometimes I get up in the morning, I make coffee, I do my gratitude, I do my intentions, I post on social media. I don't always want to reach out to people first thing in the morning because I'm not in the right state. Some of the things that get me in a better state is when I work out, when I've had time to write my intention statements, when I've done affirmations, whatever that may be. That's when I start my reach outs. And then with my follow-ups. But I might not sit down at 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning and listen to a podcast. I'm like, man, I want to go to coffee with this person. I've got my nails done. I'm going to pop in this class. But here's what I do almost every single day. I drive from places so I can listen to it when I'm driving, because I have to go from here to the grocery store. I have to go from here to the coffee appointment or here to the gym. So why not have it playing when I'm in the car? Or every day I shower. And you guys have heard me say this, that when I'm showering and getting ready and have my Bose speaker in my shower, I listen to a podcast every single day, right? I mean, I truly, truly think that we are always like pulling the weeds out of our garden, planting the seeds for what we want to be thinking about, believing in, and what we're focusing on. So those are my non-negotiables. Now, I will tell you guys, when I was working 80 to 100 hours a week, all of my jobs, way before I was like doing Isagenix full time, and I literally had no time in my schedule, I looked at it in these pockets of the time, and I was so efficient. So the doctor's office, I was contracted in this functional medicine office. The doctor's office closed from 12 to 1. And I knew if I sat in my car, I could do 4 15-minute calls. So I would message people late at night and being like, hey, can you chat at 12 or 12:15 tomorrow? Can you chat at 12:15 or 12:30? And I would book these 4 15-minute calls. There was not a single time to scroll through Instagram. TikTok wasn't even around. I didn't have time to do that. I love group fitness. You guys, have been teaching group fitness classes for 21 years. I love group fitness. The first year of my build, when I was so busy, I didn't take any classes if I wasn't teaching them. I got on the Stairmaster. I got on the treadmill because I could listen to things then. I was like, I don't have the time to do something extra. Now, I know a lot of you love the power hour. I know a lot of you just say, okay, I got to get up at 4:30 in the morning or 5 in the morning and knock it all out, because then kids are up, and then I got to work, and then I have activities, and then I have dinner, and then you have to go to bed. And that's awesome if that works for you. I've got a girl that she's a night owl. Like first thing in the morning, she's groggy and she does her kids' activity, and then she works her job, and then she does all the chores, and late at night, like from midnight to 2 a.m. And that's when she's creative. That's when she's driven. That's when she's pumped up. And that works for her. So the best part about being the entrepreneur is that you get to find your way with this. But the word that I'm going to tell you with whatever you decide to do is consistency. Laura will preach that to you. Jess will preach that to you. Like, you have got to be consistent. And I don't mean consistent that it's the same time or the same way every single day. It is that the things that are going to get you paid in this business, the things that are going to make you a better person than you were yesterday, the things that make you show up for your team day in and day out every single day, most days of the week, are consistent. So if you look at health and wellness, if someone drank their bottle of collagen once every 7 days, as opposed to the person that drank it twice a day, what do you think the results are going to be like? There's a lot of people that say, I don't have time to work out 30 minutes a day. No one would go to the gym on that Sunday and just work out for 6.5 hours and try to make up for the whole week. Nobody. It wouldn't work. And your business is the same way. Like, people are like, I'm going to sit down on Sunday. I'm like, you're going to message 30 people, follow up with 30 people, and post 7 times on Sunday. Like, that sounds terrible, right? But if you just do these little bits every single day, you'll see it come to fruition. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I had a couple conversations with people that are in that place. That's just like, I'm so overwhelmed. Every time I open up my Facebook, there's notifications. I'm like, that means you're in momentum. Do you know how fun that is? That you've got people sharing Isagenix, commenting on your posts, reaching out about it, putting you in threads. Like, that's actually a good thing. Because the day I look at my phone and there's not notifications, like, there's a problem as far as I'm concerned, But when you can look at your week in review, and just like you say, oh, I've got this appointment, I've got to go to the gym at this time, or I've got this meeting, so I'm going to schedule my dentist appointment at this time, and you treat your business the same way, you'll see that you have control of that overwhelm. And you will realize you can let go of things for a few hours and respond to it when you're ready. It doesn't have to be instantaneously. If I call my dentist right now at 7:15 at night, and I say, hey, I need to come in for my, biannual cleaning, he's not messaging me back tonight. He's probably not messaging me back tomorrow morning. Maybe in 24 hours, he's going to call me, or someone will, but probably within a few business days. So just be like a little bit of grace with yourself, that if you don't respond like immediately, because that's putting pressure on yourself, you're not going to lose these people. right? If you put a post up and someone reaches out and is like, wow, Laura looks amazing. What is she doing? I know you're like, oh my gosh, I got to do it right then, or she's going to go to Amazon. She's not. She's not. Laura's also busy. She's also watching the Super Bowl. She's doing all the other things or whatever. Give yourself a little bit of time. But I really just want you to be disciplined with those activities. And so I will just leave it with you that, because I gave this example earlier on a call that I did yesterday. I knew there was a big football game, right? Like, forget trying to get a hold of people yesterday afternoon and evening. Even people that don't like football, people watch it, okay? And I wanted to follow up. I had a couple events. And so I got up real early in the morning and got my workout done. And then once it was like an appropriate time to start messaging people, like no one wants a text from me at 6 a.m. on a Sunday. But once I thought it was like an appropriate time, I sent out so many messages. I had a huge Valentine's party at my house. I did this event at a boutique, and I sent them all about the shipping promotion. Why I watched the Super Bowl last night and multiple carts go out. People were like, oh my gosh, send me a cart to order. Send me that cart to order. Like, I was literally enrolling people by text during the Super Bowl because of all the seeds I had planted in the morning. Now, today was the complete opposite. My stepmom spent the weekend with me, right? We had coffee in the morning. Like, I went to yoga. I did all these different errands, blah, blah, blah. But I've been pretty much sitting here since 1 o'clock, right? And I'm working this afternoon and this evening, but I had the morning off. And to me, to sit down and say, okay, I didn't have to set an alarm and drive to a chiropractor's office that's paying me not my worth in traffic at 6 o'clock in the morning. You can send me 155 messages all day long. Like, if that's the hardest part of your job. But I want you guys just to really get in the habit of, at the end of your day, saying, have I told the isogenic story to somebody new? Have I followed up with somebody that I had shared the isogenic story with? Have I checked in with my new customers, my new builders? You know, did I post on social media, even just your stories? And then to say, did I do something today that makes me a better person than I was yesterday? That might be you drank more water today than yesterday. That might be you did a meditation, you listened to a podcast, you read 5 pages of a book, you did your devotion, you did church online. I mean, whatever that is for you, but those are the types of things that day after day after day after day after day, if you do it, you're going to soar. And if you look at any of the top leaders, I mean, if you look at Jess and Holly and Erica and Ann and Laura and Kisa and Jenny, they will tell you, I reach out to new people every day. I follow up with people every day. You know, I post on social media multiple times a week. I'm doing personal development because that is the backbone of this business. So that being said, when we think, oh, the other thing I just want to say actually about that, Holly, I love, she just put that in the chat. Have I shared my isogenic story with anybody else? So I did a call with Jenny, you guys, which was such a treat. And I don't know if she's on here. Her daughter's on here earlier today, which she doesn't do calls for me very often anymore. And one of the things she said that I wanted to actually just bring up to all of you, because it's a good reminder, was to be patient in the process. And she talked about, and many of you are not going to know this yet, but it's going to land on you. And those of you that are more veteran, you're going to be like, gosh, that's such a good reminder. But that we overestimate the money that can be made in the first year, and the pressure that we put on ourselves takes you out of the game because you underestimate what's possible in year 5, 6, 7. You guys all saw Jess's compound effect in 2020. You guys, that was year 7 for her. So she started at 0 and 1 cycles like everybody else and got to 6 figures in a month. But that happened in year 7. Imagine if year 2 or year 3, something took her out of the game, and that will set her family financially free for generations to come. So in that process of figuring out your way and working through those time management, skills, and working through the discipline to, even when you don't want to be like, okay, I'm going to do this, just give yourself some grace, give yourself some flexibility, and stay really, really focused for the long term, and not so focused on like the double pips for this week, your LIA points for this week. Look at what all of that's going to do. People that eat clean and work out every day, look at how many years to their life they're adding. Treat your business the same way you treat your body, and it will pay you back tenfold. So when we talk about connecting, you guys, here's another one. You have got to find what works for you. So I just told you, reach out to 3 people a day or follow up with 3 people a day. And half of you just got like a little queasy because you went, oh my gosh, where do I find people? I don't know anybody, right? I mean, if you just have that little bit of feeling, like, you can put a 2 in the chat, because I know a lot of you thought it. And I'm going to walk you through some of that. But the first thing I want you to even think about before you start messaging people, before you go into a networking group, before you go into a restaurant, is getting so clear on identifying who do you want to work with? Like, who are the people you really want to partner with? As I can tell you, I could be on the phone with someone like Laura Lori, and this is why we're on the phone all day long together, because she's fun, she's positive, she's led by faith, she's kind, she puts others first. You know, she's funny, it's relatable. We want to travel well together. We both like to exercise. Like, no wonder we talk 20 times a day over text or Marco Polo or Facebook Messenger, back to all those notifications, because it's fun. If I get on the phone with someone and everything is hard and everything is exhausting and everything is tired and nothing is going well and you are like an energy suck, I mean, think about how challenging that's going to be to do that call over and over and over. Holly and I were messaging over the week, and she brought up a great book, you guys, if you have never read it, called The Energy Bus. And just, it's a great book, but it talks about the people that can get on your bus and light you up, or the people that can like suck you dry, you know, and not being that person yourself, but who you're attracting in and who you kind of want to deal with on a day-to-day basis. But if I saw someone on social media complaining, I'm never recruiting that person, at least not right then. They can change. But if they're the like, oh my gosh, this happened and that happened and this happened and this is happening to me, or oh my gosh, blah, 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 poor victim. I'm like, you would be great at what I do. You're influential, you're fun, you're positive. I mean, you guys can see right here, they're like, no, I'm not, and I'm unhappy. And I mean, these people can use personal development, and we can keep an open door, because over time they might show up in your business. But when I tell you to be really clear, like, have that list of qualities. Sometimes when we talk about, you know, creating our dream team, our board of directors, who's going to be our, you know, 10 executives, it's in the forefront, but on a day-to-day, it's not. But when you write out your intention statements, today I allow myself to attract in people with integrity, people who are fun, people who uplift others, people with influence, people who are confident, people who are happy, people that are joyful, that are faith-filled, that tell the truth, that are money motivated, that want to lead people's lives better than when they found them. You will attract that in, or you will be attracted to that person because you're focused on it. And so when you go in places or you're scrolling through social media, you don't get stuck on the person complaining. You get drawn in to the person that has 136 comments and 1,000 likes. And you're like, what's that person doing? That person has 1,000 likes. That person's influential. I want to figure out how to get to know that person. You're drawn to naturally go to certain groups or certain hashtags because you're looking for something specific. And when we think about a coach, you guys, I mean, a coach of a team, and they're going to put together their ideal team, they know exactly what they're looking for, right? If the coach is looking for a quarterback, they could care less about how they sing. They're looking for people who are fast, who can jump, who have team leadership, whatever those skills may be. Your recruiter hat, you get to pick out your team, but there has to be some clarity around that. So once you have identified some of those characteristics, I'm going to talk about connecting online first, and I'm going to give you some like templates, some scripts, but we're going to talk about that and some ideas. And then I'm going to tell you kind of how to work through this. I'm going to go to offline connecting. So I will be the first person, you guys, you know, I don't BS you. I'm like honest to a fault. I don't like to cold market connect online. It makes me super uncomfortable every time. I like have so much respect for men that like had to like awkwardly walk up to women with like a weird pickup line and offer to buy a drink. I'm like, man, that is a lot harder than you think it is, you know, being on the receiving end, never having to do it myself. It makes me uncomfortable. Now, Erica Rothenberger and Jessica Rigner do this the best. I mean, I have like gone on vacation with Jess, and she's just like, I just want to sit here and prospect all day. It's fun for her. She's natural at it. It's not awkward, right? She just loves, she can see people and do it. And she's a great nonverbal communication. And if you've ever gotten a text from Jessica Rigner, you can laugh out loud. Very few people have that ability to make you laugh over text. That's a really good communication style for her. It's not necessarily for me. However, I'm going to tell you, I do it. And I do it for two reasons. Number one is inevitably you will find somebody good. You have to send out a lot of messages and get a lot of no responses or kind of deal with the awkwardness, but it is a numbers game. And inevitably you will get somebody good. If I could tell you the amount of people, Leah Miller is one of them that I met through Instagram, you know, cold market message, you will meet someone amazing that will become your friend and will crush this business and make this business fun with you. But you kind of have to get through some of that awkwardness, okay? The other reason that I do it is because I think the energy you put out comes back. When I am not doing it, the people reaching out to me go down. But when I can consistently look back and say, wow, I sent out 30 or 40 messages this week on social media, those are the weeks I have 3 or 4 enrollments, and not from those people. But it's like I put the boomerang out there. So all of a sudden, somebody out of nowhere has reached out to me and said, hey, I've been watching you. What are you up to? And I'm like, wow, I didn't even reach out to that person. But it's an energy thing. So when you're thinking about reaching to people online, we talked about those key characteristics. One of the ways on Instagram that you can find the type of people you're looking for is to search hashtags or to search places. So if you type in beauty, or you type in collagen, or you type in hairdresser or esthetician, and you sort that in Instagram, you're going to find some of these top influencers sometimes, some of these top beauty bloggers, people that have millions of followers. That's not always the person I'm recruiting. They are getting paid in a whole different way. But I go to one of their posts that I'm attracted to, and I look at the people that have commented. I look at the people that have liked it, and I start to go through those profiles. And I'm looking for those characteristics. I'm looking for people that are healthy, people that are positive, people that are influential, people that are family-based, people that are, faith-filled, to reach out to before I send the message. The second way through Facebook that I like to do it a little bit more is in groups that are things that I align with. So I know Jess has met some really great people in a manifesting group. And she's big on that. She talks about it every single day. I mean, she walks, breathes, sleeps, manifestation. It's natural for her. Plus, it's fun for her to be in there. She's going to learn things and she can add value because it's something she is of interest to. So you guys are going to laugh at me when I tell you the 2 places that I spend the most time, but I'm constantly enrolling from in Facebook. One of them is French Bulldog groups. I really like looking at French Bulldogs. They really like looking at my dog. There's things that we can talk about. But a lot of people that have French Bulldogs can also afford the collagen, right? If they can afford a bougie dog, they can afford our collagen. Like, I know that I'm not really going to come across the cost objection in there, but I can add value. I can ask questions about things, and it's a natural relationship. The other place that I am constantly enrolling from and getting to know people in is the Peloton groups, and not the big official Peloton groups, these spin, small one-off groups. And here's why. I know they're into health and wellness. I know they're competitive. If you're not competitive, you don't have a Peloton. The leaderboard pisses you off, right? If you like the leaderboard, it's because you're driven to want to be better. So I know that there's characteristics of people, and that's where I spend my time. You guys, there are things for campers, for gardeners, for different dogs, for different cats, for bonus mom groups, stepmom groups, foster family groups, adoption family groups, different cities you're in, alumni. I mean, you can find anything. And I encourage you to join groups and add value in there and ask questions before you friend request people, right? Don't just go in there and friend request 20 people and say, hey, would you take a look at this collagen? Hey, do you currently take a collagen? I mean, of course, that's not going to work. But when you build rapport and you ask questions, add value, comment to some things, send a friend request, then they scroll through your wall and they happen to write you and they go, can you tell me more about that collagen before and after picture? Like, that girl looks amazing. And it will naturally come to you because you're showing up and you're giving before you're taking. Another place that's really, really good on social media that I think a lot of you are missing to reach out to is the people that like your own posts or the people that are watching your stories. So if you click through on your stories and it says 45 people have viewed this, or 135 people have viewed this, 96 people have viewed this, click on it. So when I go through, I'm like, okay, you're already on my team enrolled. You're other people in Isogenics that want to see what we're doing. And I'm like, I have no idea who Sherry is. I'm going to write her. Hey, Sherry, thanks so much for watching my story. Can you remind me how we're connected? Get it going, right? She's going to say, I don't know, but I follow your page and I love the things you post about. Awesome. What do you do? You're having a conversation. She might say, oh, I've been following you for a while. Years ago, I was your Uber driver and you told me about your business. I'm like, oh, cool. Are you still driving for Uber? You don't have to pretend like you know everybody, but it keeps the conversation going. Okay. So when you're online, you want to always be authentic. You're looking at the people who are liking your posts. You're looking at the people that are following the stories, looking where you can find rapport. Now I'm going to give you some scripts, some verbiage. You guys, I have a compilation and I can send these to Jess. I can send them back to Erica or Ann or Holly or Laura or whomever, and you guys can have them. We share this with the disclaimer that these are meant to be templates. Okay, so if it sounds exactly like Jessica Rigner, edit it, use the formula, but do something that makes it sound like you. Because if you send this template and then they come in and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say next, it's because you're like not being authentic. You're trying to do somebody else. So these allow you what to say, how to approach it. But if you get a text from Cindy Hedges, you know it's different than Janny because it's got like 9,000 emojis. I mean, I've never seen anybody text with more hearts and more smiley faces and more glowy things and weird capital letters. But I'm like, that's a Cindy Hedges text, you know? There are certain people that, you know, they have typos and talk to text, and that's their vibe. That's who that is. I don't encourage it, but whatever that may be. And you want to be yourself. So I want to give you a few of these so that you have some idea. And if you need these sent, just say it, because I have them all saved in my iPhone. You guys, at any given time, I can go to notes and I have them like organized as reach outs or collagen reach outs, nutrition reach outs, different things. But I took a few screenshots, so I had some in mind. Okay. So this is one that is from Jessica Rigner. Okay. Like something in the past, I'm like, hey, what are you saying to people right now? And she sent something to me. I was like, ooh, that's really good. Okay. So this would be for someone on Instagram or Facebook that you knew was in Europe. Okay. So you're looking for like beauty influencers somewhere in Europe. And she says, hi, landed on your page and love what you're up to, leaving the world a better place. So she did some homework. She knew they were doing something, that they're involved in contribution or service, or they just add value to within their page. This may seem forward, but I'd actually love to connect with you on a product, a high potency marine collagen elixir we recently launched in Europe. We're looking for ambassadors to create a residual income stream sharing it. It has been exploding for our teams in Australia, New Zealand, US, and Canada. The results are like nothing people have ever seen before. We're looking for a specific kind of person to an opportunity to be a ground floor with. I have no idea if it's for you, but I'd love to chat and get your input. So that's a pretty direct message, right? I mean, she's like, I don't have time to be best friends. And Pen Pals is like, this is how I found you. This is what you're up to. This is what I'm looking for. If you're into it, let's chat. If not, next. Okay. When I tell you, like, she's really good at it. So that is one of them. Now, there's another message that I love, and this is from Erica Rothenberger. Okay. I'm just going to mute somebody real fast. So, hey there, love being connected with you. Nothing is better for my vibe and energy than surrounding myself with other really successful people. I'd love to chat and exchange ideas if you're up for it. Cheers, Erica. So that's super simple, but I'm sure that when Erica's doing this, she's looking at other entrepreneurs. She's looking at real estate agents. She's looking at bloggers. She's looking at people in fashion, people in beauty, personal trainers, nutritionists, because there's something that she knows that they align themselves with. Some person might say, yeah, absolutely. What do you do? And just as if you were at a networking group or you sat next to someone at a bar and you're having a conversation, you get the conversation going. Here's another one. Hey friend, I was thinking of you and how insanely influential and driven you are. You're one of my absolute favorites. I have a hold of an opportunity I think you would be amazing at, and I'm so excited about it. It's truly changed my life. Would you be open to looking at an opportunity to create some extra income in the health and wellness industry? So that's someone you already know, right? Like that's someone that you've already built a relationship with. How do you know they're so influential? So I will tell you, I sent something very similar to that to a woman who's now a consultant in my business, who's former Miss Colorado, and she was former Miss America. She was at my house on Galentine's on Wednesday. Okay, I met her years ago. We connected. I absolutely loved her, but it was like a chicken list type of thing. And a couple of years ago, I finally said, what do you have to lose, Lauren? And it was very similar. And it was like, I know how influential you are. I know how amazing you are. You'd be amazing at this. She happened to be going through a divorce at the time. She absolutely wanted money, loved health and wellness. And I had created all that, like, oh my gosh, what if she says no to me story, where if you just step into that, like whatever they decide, they decide. But what if they're praying for this solution? What if I can give them the best gift of their life? What if I can give something that's going to ignite them from the inside out, help them make, you know, a ton of money and have so much fun in the process? Like, yes, please, right? But that's the difference in the mindset. I'm like, oh my gosh, what if they say no to me? And oh my goodness, I'm so excited on what I want to give to you. So those are a few, and there's a lot. You guys, birthday messages. Katie Flanagan talked about that last week. That's one way to get the conversation going. But I want to leave you with the online scripts and templates with this thought, okay? Before you send it, say, would I reply to this? We have all been spammed. We have all been spammed by someone from a company that you knew they sent that out to 800 people, right? I've gotten them, they didn't even change my name. I'm like, well, I'm not Molly, and no, I'm not interested, right? And being just to pause. And if it's something you like have to scroll through, you're like, holy moly, like no one has time for that. You know, you don't want to read it, they don't want to read it. If it sounds cookie cutter, it is. So take some of these templates and make it your own. I mean, I love to even edit it and say the person's name. Hey, Ann, I landed on your page. Hey, Teresa, I couldn't help but notice. You know, go back and look at a few things. Kathy, I landed on your page. That picture of you and your family is freaking amazing. Your family is stunning. You remind me of the people I'd love to work with. Do you have a couple minutes to chat with me? Take the template and personalize it. And I love to voice memo. Now, if you're someone who's doing this at midnight to 2 a.m. and your husband's sleeping next to you, put a 3 in the chat if you can relate to that. Probably not going to voice memo a lot of people, right? But you can also copy and paste and it's efficient. But if it's like right after a workout and you're feeling pumped and you're excited and you're like, let them hear your energy. People will be lost in your passion, in your joy, in your conviction, in your enthusiasm. They're like, I want to be right with you. I don't even care what you're doing. I just want to be a part of whatever it is you're doing. Janie was talking about that today on the call too, and she listed those 4 words. I was like, I have to write this down because I'm going to forget them. And it's true. You guys, I've told this story that like Jessica could literally sell blueberry jam under her arms, telling people it was the best deodorant on the planet, and we'd all buy it because she'd be excited about it. She'd make a joke about it. She'd have so much conviction and that passion. We'd all be lined up, right? It'd go viral. We'd sell the stores out of blueberry jam, thinking it was the best, you know, Under Armour protection. But that is what you can do with any of this. You're going to draw people in around that energy. So I'm going to transition just a little bit here to offline connecting. And this is what feels good to me because I love people. Because I was on the phone with someone last week that's like, I don't know if this is for me. I just really don't like people. And I was like, yeah, this is not for you. You should probably hide behind a cubicle and get some spreadsheets because this is a people business. I mean, it's all about talking to people, making people better, you know, getting to know people. And I want to like hang out and spend the night and see the color of your carpet and get to know your kids and your dogs. And I'm like, you're not a people person. Like, this is not for you. Okay. But I absolutely want to get to know people online. I had to get better during the pandemic and everything was Zoom and trying to connect without being to meet people. But there are people everywhere. And you guys, when you start to collect stories of how people met, because they collided, and sometimes you only get one chance to be like, that's a dynamite person. That is the type of person I want to lock arms with. That's the type of person I want to partner with. I mean, sometimes you might only get once, but Janie met Kelly Dickerhoff on a plane. I mean, like, had they gotten off that plane and went separate directions, they may have never, ever, ever met. Kelly's like in the top 10 income earners right now. You know, I mean, totally, completely changed her life. Erica and Jess met Holly and her husband, Joel, at the baggage claim in the Maui airport, right? I mean, Jess and Erica for an Isogenics event, Holly and Joel were on their anniversary trip, and that's how they met. You know, one of my newest consultants, I sat next to getting a pedicure. Literally, we were sitting there, we were talking, I was on the phone, I saw her gift a pedicure to someone down the way who had just had a baby, and it impressed me. And I told her, and I said, contribution is a like core value of our company. I love that you just did that. And I said, I have no idea if you're interested in additional streams of revenue or looking for something, but I would love to chat with you. I think you'd be amazing. She enrolled, she's a consultant, and it's because I watched how she showed up in the world. You guys, if you spend time with me, you will watch me connect with baristas and servers and, you know, people that I meet at networking events, when I'm at the mall, wherever that may be, because you're back to those characteristics. Who's fun? Who's influential? Who's kind? When I first started, I remember Janie would call me sometimes. She'd be like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm like about to teach a class. Like, what's going on? She's like, oh my gosh, I'm at Nordstrom right now and I have the most beautiful girl helping me shop. And she goes, she's dynamite. She's fun. She's so sweet. She's glamorous. You know, she's exhausted. She needs our products for the energy. Will you just tell her your story? Will you tell her about what you did and how, you know, I can take her to the moon? And I would like tell the story and I would get off the phone. I was like, how did that conversation come up? Like, how did she go from shopping to like, you know, recruiting this person? And I started to get it. And I said, oh my gosh, you can do that. And so one of the ways when you're getting to know someone and you're asking questions, right? You're listening for their pain points. You're listening for the areas of unhappiness. If you show up in anything and you brag all about yourself and you talk all about what's happening for you, or you try to convince someone, about what it is that you like, you're going to miss it. But if you can clue in online or offline and ask questions about their life genuinely, that you can find out who needs money, who needs energy, who needs sleep, who cares about their skin, to be able to say, I have something that can help you. I have a hold of something that can change your life. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I sat next to you. I have something that's going to make this so much better for you. And back to your conviction, back to your energy, there's people everywhere. So Ryan knows, and he laughs at me, like, I don't do self-checkout for a multitude of reasons. Like, I don't want to, but there are people in front of me, behind me, and the person checking me out that I get to have a chance to talk to. That doesn't mean I always do it, because sometimes I don't want to hurt the person behind me, right? If I have someone that's nasty to their kids, I mean, we've all seen that. No, I don't want you in my business. I won't have you over for dinner. I don't want you in my business. You are nasty to your kids. But sometimes I'm standing there and they're like, oh my gosh, I love your shoes. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love your shoes. And you meet your new BFF, in the line at Whole Foods. And I'm like, this is crazy. But like, what do you do? Like, I feel like we should connect. We should go to coffee. I want to tell you what I'm up to. You probably know the type of person I'm looking for. When we go out to eat, I was waiting tables when Isogenics came into my life, you guys. I was still in the service industry, and this changed my life. We go out to eat and we have someone that's amazing, that got the order right. They paid attention to detail. They weren't annoyed. They were fun. I ask them and I tell them, I start with those compliments. Oh my gosh, Anna, you were incredible. I had such a good experience. You got all of our order with all the modifications totally right. You just gave us such an elevated experience. I don't know if you keep your options open to additional streams of revenue. I know when I waited tables, it was hard because I was always exchanging time for money, but I would love to show you something where you can fill in the gaps between shifts. Would you be open to having a conversation with me this week? They always say yes, always. And then I say, give me your number. I'll text you. I know you're busy, and we'll set up a time to chat. Okay. There are people everywhere. When you're looking at your ideal list, who is influential? If you walk into your kid's school, you don't have to find every mom, right? But who's the one that runs PTA? That person is influential. Work with that person, let them enroll all the other moms. Our compensation plan, you don't have to enroll everybody. It pays it infinitely. Go all the way down. In your church, who leads the worship, right? Find out who's the director of your worship. Work with that person. They'll enroll everybody else that sings in the worship. You don't have to do it all. When you think about when you go into a salon, your job is not necessarily to get all the estheticians and all the stylists. I mean, maybe your own, but think about the manager, think about the owner, and then allow them to create their board of directors by bringing in everybody that works for them. They already have influence there. You're looking for the people who have reach and can expand other people. You're looking for those key characteristics. You're looking for people that make you go, wow, whatever that person's doing, I want to be around them. And it starts with you. It absolutely starts with you. You guys, I said this to my team last week over Messenger, and then she happened to come to my Galentine's party, and I could introduce her this way. And this is what actually made me think about how important it is for us to do a call on connecting, because it had been a while. But I had done a cleanse day last week, last Wednesday actually, and I had not cleansed, you guys, honest to a fault, since I think right after Thanksgiving. I know I didn't do it in December, and I was going to right after New Year's before NYKO, and I got COVID. And so I didn't cleanse. And then with everything else, and I was feeling so fluffy and so irritable and just like not myself. And I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm committing to it. I talked to Laura one of those days. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the hardest cleanse day ever. But I was like, I have got to do this. I feel so yucky in my skin. And Thursday, I was lit up like a Christmas tree, like the very first one I did. I mean, I had so much energy. I was so excited. I felt confident. I mean, I was just like buzzing all over the place. And I went to lunch with one of my best friends, and I stopped at Whole Foods. I had to get something for the Galentine's the next day. And I would go to like walk in the doors, and this woman like kind of looked at me and she smiled. And I'm like, I have no idea who that is, but that was nice. And I smiled back at her. And we were walking in, and she was ahead of me, and I kind of hit her by the floral section, and she smiles again, and she takes down her mask and she goes, "You're absolutely glowing." I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. Do I know you? It was strange. And I was thinking, I'm in my old like stomping grounds, like maybe I knew her. And she said, no, but I saw you from like 20 meters away. And I thought, I have no idea what this girl does, but I wanted to talk to her. We met, she came to my Valentine's Day and enrolled her with collagen 2 days ago. I mean, I didn't even know her 7 days ago. And she came to me because I'm excited and I'm enthusiastic. And when you show up, when you're just in love with what you do, like you will attract people in. Okay. And so when you're talking to people, if you're like, hey, I have this business, you know, I can tell you about it. Like you don't even want to buy your own products, let alone anybody else buy your products. So when you're talking to people, I mean, pump yourself up. If you're nervous, and that's okay. You're nervous because you're excited. You know, I can't even tell you how many times I've been in Nordstrom and I've seen someone and been like, how in the heck am I going to go over there and talk to that person? And then I think about, why do I want to talk to that person? What is it that attracted me to them? And I go, that's what I got to tell them. And I'll get up and I'll walk over, you know, and I say, oh my gosh, Kanisha, I couldn't help but no, I wouldn't say her name. I'm saying that because I'm reading the script. Wouldn't know who that was. I would just say, this is probably super random. I don't know you, but I happen to see you walk across the room. And I say, you are so classy. You look stunning. And it caught my attention. And I just thought I wanted to chat with you. I want to tell you what I'm up to. There's no doubt in my mind you'd be amazing at what I do. If she says no, I'm probably never going to see her again anyways. Who cares? What if she says yes and she comes the next Emily Vavra and they go, how'd you meet? And I'm like, at the shoe section of Nordstrom. I mean, Sheila just enrolled somebody that she met at wine tasting. You know, she remember that girl that I met at the wine tasting? I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. There's gonna be people everywhere. And I want you to keep your eyes and ears open to that. So the last little bit that I just wanted to talk to you guys about, because I know we're back doing them and they're like, what are you doing? How are you doing that? Is events. So we always build towards events. And for 2 years, we weren't having them. People couldn't do it. The restrictions, people weren't comfortable to go. People weren't comfortable to have people in their house, and they're back, you guys. And I just want to tell you that if you're doing them in your home, if you're inviting people without telling them the products are going to be there or there's going to be a presentation, do not bait and switch them. Okay. If you invite them over for a party, then make it a freaking party. Okay. If you invite people over for a party and then you sit down and you give them a presentation, people are going to be upset with you. You would be upset if someone did that to you. If I got invited to a party and suddenly I sat through a travel presentation, I would be like, are you freaking kidding me right now? Like, I thought I was coming to a party. Don't do that. So for example, last week, my Galentine's, originally a month ago, I was like, I'm going to do a Celatwa release party. And then I was like, no, I'm not. I wanted to just make it a party. And so I had people ask me like, wait, are you still going to have the Celatwa out? Like, are you going to sample it? Like, I still wanted to see it. I had everything displayed, everything. So I had the products out of the collagen, of the Celatwa. I had the lookbook. I had QR codes. I literally said nothing about it. I talked to everybody there. We built relationships. We had fun. You know, if people ask questions, they asked other people, or I said, I can talk to you about it afterwards. I wanted them to see it, but I invited people over for a girls' night out. Now, to the contrary, I have been way more bold about what I'm doing. Hey, I know I've told you about these products. Come over, try them. You're going to love them. Hey, I know I've reached out to you about this opportunity. Come over. I want to show you how to get paid. I want to show you why we've changed over 30,000 lives in the last 8 years. You know, I want you to come over. And when I'm inviting, then it's not a party and I'm going to give a presentation. But it's same, if you're going to a coffee appointment or you're having people at your house, let people know what they're really expecting. Okay. That's something that this industry gets bad rep for, is the bait and switch. So as you're thinking about something fun, make it fun. People have so many commitments right now. They have all these other things. If they're going to take out free time to come to something you're hosting, don't make it about all these people that are going to buy for you. Plan it with, what can I do for them? What products do I need to show them that are going to improve their health? What information do I need to know to build trust and credibility? What can I show them about the business opportunity? Who needs to be here on the team so that they see the culture, right? What prizes can I give away so people are excited they came? What things can I put out that make it enjoyable for them? And then I believe in how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you half-ass it, those are not the posts you want on social media. People aren't going to talk about like, oh my gosh, I went here, and they're not going to want to try it. Make sure your house is clean, right? Like, make sure your presentation is good. No one wants to use a dirty bathroom, and just take the time for the extra level of detail that people are comfortable. It will build trust. If they're not comfortable in your house, they're not going to be comfortable building a business with you. You have got to have integrity on how you show up. When it comes to events in places, so people say, how did you get into that boutique? You know, how did you get into that salon? And I actually, I'm I'm going to read you the email that I sent, because Kathy said, what did you send to be able to get in to the spa? Kathy, now I got to try and figure out the email where I sent it. I can find it. You guys, hold on one second. I'll read it to you. And if you guys want it, I'll happy to send it to you. A super, super short that I sent. And if you guys want it, just reach out to Jess or me and I'll make sure to get this to you, I promise. Okay, so I happen to have coffee at a place next to a boutique called Apricot Boutique, right? And I went and parked, and then when I was leaving, I saw it and I was like, well, that store is super cute. And I was in a different part of town. I walked in, I was like, oh my gosh, this place is adorable. And I asked the girl and I said, do you guys ever do events in here? Do you collaborate with other business owners? She said, yeah, all the time. And I said, who's the person that I should get in touch with? Because this was like a young girl working. And she said, Katie, she's our store manager. I said, awesome. Do you have her number or email or a business card? She gave me her business card. Okay, so I followed the store on Instagram, so hoping she would follow me back. And then this was the email that I said, hey, Katie, how are you? Hopefully well. I was in Old Town last weekend and stumbled into your boutique. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Remember I said, talk the way you talk? If you meet me, I'm gonna say things like, oh my gosh, that's so cute, right? Like I'm professional, but it sounds like me. I was in awe of your style and was grateful to have parked in front that I noticed it. I chatted with your sales gal in the interest of doing an event in your store. I'm with a health and beauty company and thought it would be fun to do a display of samples, and anyone that shopped that day would receive a discount. I would absolutely promote on my social media and highlight Apricot Lane. We've done similar events at boutiques in the area and spas nearby, and I think it'd be a great service to your customers and a great way to bring traffic to your boutique. Please let me know when you're free and we can chat and go from there. So in my thing, I'm not like, let me take all your people. I'm like, I will post on my social media. I will bring traffic to you. Here's the value for your customers. If you're going to pitch a business, don't ever pitch a business on what they're going to do for you. Pitch the business on what you can do for them. Okay. If you want people to work from you, that's the go-giver mentality. When I had my private practice as a nutritionist, you guys, I can't even tell you how many people tried to use me for leverage, never on what they could give me. And I never, ever, ever wanted to partner with them. So if you're going to recruit a chiropractor, if you are going to, partner with a salon, if you're going to partner with a boutique, Ann and Holly will probably tell you this too. They get hit up left and right. I'm sure the spa owners are, they get hit up left and right. Think about the ways you can do it. So a med spa email that, Krista and I worked on really closely together. Same thing. Hey, we have partnered with a leading health and wellness company. We have an industry disruptor product that we think your customers will love. We would love to come in and set up a display, do some education, and of course, XYZ for your customers. Sometimes we say we'll set up a cute mimosa bar. We'll do a raffle. Well, and that's in the cold market. If you're working with someone, you've already enrolled an esthetician, you've enrolled a hairdresser, you have enrolled, somebody in the industry, ask them, does the place you work do events? Could you put me in touch with the director of HR? Could you put me in touch with the store manager? I'd love to set up about doing a display table and talking to people about what this is. And the reason why I want you to capitalize on this opportunity right now is because people want to be together. People want the community. They want to go places. They want to be out and about. The salons and the boutiques are so thrilled for you to do this because you're going to bring traffic to them. It's going to create energy. It's going to create buzz. But again, you got to show up in an excited way. You can't be like, hey, can I do an event in your place? And you sound like freaking Eeyore, right? They're like, I don't know who this girl is, but she's like buzzing and happy and she's going to bring 20 people in here. Let's go. You guys, I can honestly, truthfully probably tell you if I had done that same Valentine's event 3 years ago, it would have felt different. And the reason it felt better this year is because people want to go out. They want to be together. We've all been so hibernated and we've fallen into those comfort zones. You forget what it's like. And my stepmom asked me that. She goes, what was the draw for people to come? Why'd they come if you weren't talking about isogenics? I said, because girls want to dress up, drink wine, and get to know other powerhouse women. Right. And that's exactly what we did. And we had a blast. And there's great relationships that are going to come out of it. And not just with isogenics. My friend that's a massage therapist, she got new clients, right? My friend that's a realtor, she met with some people that were great clients. I mean, there's great just business relationships there. But I can tell you, because I put those types of people in front of those types of people, when they're out and about and someone says, oh my gosh, I don't know what I got to do about these dark circles, but I got to fix it. And they go, oh, you got to call my friend Lauren. She's got the best eye cream on the market right now. They're going to refer people back to me. So it's not always did 8 people enroll at the party? But you're planting seeds, you're creating community, you're building those referrals, you're building trust. So you guys, this was a lot, and I knew it was going to close to the hour, and I knew I wanted to just like flood you with some things that were on my heart. But I'm super excited about the time that we're in. I'm super excited about the products. I'm super excited about this team, the community, and everything that you guys are doing. And when I did the call with Janny today, there's always things that stand out. I mean, all of us, every single one of us on this call, plus hundreds of thousands of others, are here because of Janny. And when we talk to her, there's such a reflection of like, man, that's how we built these organizations. That's how we've done everything. And Jess and I have been working closely together for 8 years because of her. But I asked her at the end of the call, I said, what's one thing, what's one tip, what's the best advice that you can give this beautiful rock star right now? Because I want her to go to the freaking top. And she talked about everything she learned from her husband, who was a professional athlete, about being resilient. And she said, athletes have resiliency. Like, you've got to have a tough mindset, because it's not always smoke and mirrors, right? There are times you're like, man, I've not enrolled anybody. Like, what is happening, you know? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you'll enroll 6 people, or you'll have someone return, or you'll have someone want to try another company's products, or whatever that may be. You're like, I don't know what to post on social media, whatever those things may be. But if you can have that resiliency, if you can have that mental steeliness to take yourself out of these highs and the lows, stay focused on the long run, that it'll keep you in the game, and it will attract people to you, and it'll take you all the way to the freaking top. So coming off of the Super Bowl, and we're looking at those that won, think about how resilient they were, right? Like, I am married to a Black man. Most of you guys know that. We talk a lot about, you know, certain racial things in our house. But I said, for so many of those kids, you guys are kids in the Super Bowl, the things that they did, the sacrifices they had to become the best of the best of the best, because that was the only opportunity they would have, right? Was like getting out of that situation. They relied on football. Okay. So think about how many games they had to win. You guys, I asked because I wasn't totally sure how many people are in each team and how many teams there are. I mean, there's only like a couple hundred people in the whole NFL. Think about how many people didn't make it. And that 1%, some of it's skill, of course it's skill, but it's the resiliency. It's the ability to practice day in and day out, and practice through injuries, and come back and want to get better, and drive and drive and drive. And then you think about the team that lost. You think any one of them went home last night and thinks they're anything else besides a world-class champion? You know, that they were like, oh my gosh, like, I'm terrible, I should never play football again. They made it to the Super Bowl, and they're going to come back with a drive to do it better. What can they do to improve next season and next year? And if you guys can just show up so resiliently, Anna and I text each other all the time. Not today, Satan, right? All the time, things pop up and we're like, nope, queen, this is like, you got a gift to do. Not today, Satan. And just to check that out, stay laser focused. You guys are going to be amazing. So thank you for a long call. Happy Valentine's Day. I love you guys. We'll see you in a week. And don't forget, Jess has a guest speaker from Zija next Monday, not Wednesday, Monday, next week, Monday, the call. Email me or have Holly and Jess, someone, and I will send you guys all the scripts and the emails. I can't put them in the chat here, but we will get them to you so they go out to both teams. Love you guys. Good night.